Bless unleashes an MMORPG with a storied past, with multiple attempted releases under multiple different titles across both PC and console. Bless's latest version, Blessed Unleashed, will be coming to PC as a free-to-play game in 2021, and I got the chance to play the game's latest beta test during a sponsored stream over on my Twitch channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the game, give you guys some background on it, and then move into my first impressions of Bless from my playtime on the beta, covering the things that I liked about it, the things that I didn't, and how I think this game will do going forward. Now, this video is sponsored by Blessed Unleashed, and I do want to thank them for the opportunity to make a video covering their game. With that being said, even though this is a sponsored video, I'm still going to be very honest about my feelings towards the game and the type of future that I think it has. Now, moving into some information about the game. Like I said, Bless is a free-to-play MMORPG with a microtransaction shop that is going to be made and published this time by NeoWiz. The game has action combat. The max level in the game is 45, and it also has 5 classes, which, by the way, do not adhere to the Holy Trinity. The classes are the Crusader, the Berserker, the Ranger, the Mage, and the Priest. Also with 4 available races: the Human, the Varg, the Elf, and the Ippin, with certain classes being tied to certain races and some of them having multiple options available. The quests are not voice acted, some parts are not, but you do get enough cutscenes during the leveling process to help you feel ingrained in the leveling and story experience. In terms of endgame content, the game does not appear to have any raids, but it does have dungeons and world bosses for its PvE content. PvP-wise, the game is similar to games like Black Desert Online, where there's open world PvP after level 30, and if you flag up, you can kill other players out in the world outside of protected zones. Now, if you are below level 30, flag PvPers damage will be greatly reduced to you, but once you're level 30, it's fair game. The game does have a karma system for open world PvP, and the more karma tiers that you lose, though, the more penalties get put on you, so you can't just, keep attacking players in the open world and expect no punishment. The game also has Battleground and Arena type PvP, giving you multiple PvP options to be able to play and enjoy. The game also does have a housing system, but it doesn't seem to be a purely cosmetic thing, and instead has more of a functional purpose. In your house, which is called an estate, you can actually construct buildings that that are able to gather different resources for you and train tamed monsters for you to use as mounts. Endgame gear is also acquired in several ways in this game, via either the central auction house, dungeons, world bosses, or on rare occasions, certain mobs. The game also does have an enhancement system with some similarities to that of BDO. The game has a story tracker and achievements allowing you to earn certain rewards and titles as you move through the story and accomplish certain things in game. The game also does have a guild system, with your guild eventually being able to own its own estate as well. Now, do keep in mind, I'm not sure if the guild estates are in the game right now, but I did find an article saying this was something they were looking to add, so this will be something that will be available in the future, which I do think is pretty cool. The game also does have a ton of mounts available. You can get a mount also extremely early on in the game, which makes traveling from one place to another much easier, with a ton of mounts actually earnable inside the game, actually playing it. The game also does have professions, and the professions are primarily focused around creating different types of armor, potions, buff food, and there is even fishing for fishing competitions, where the person who catches the biggest fish in a certain period of time can earn certain rewards, and there does not appear to be a limit on the number of professions that one player can have. So that's just a little bit about the game. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview and a top-down look at what Bless Unleashed has to offer. But now I'm going to move into my first impressions from my time on the beta, and we're going to start off with the good things. So the first good thing we got is that it had a solid beginning tutorial. In the initial tutorial, you can play what feels like a maxed out version of your class while you're introduced to the game's combat system, which can help you very quickly decide if the class that you chose is something that feels right for you long term. Also, the audio and visuals of the game are great. The game looks good overall, and it sounds fantastic. Your skills feel satisfying to use in both appearance and audio impact. The effects aren't too excessive, but look flashy enough to feel so that your skills feel great to press. The world and your character look really good overall as well, so it feels easy to get sucked into the in-game world. Now, something that isn't present in many MMOs today that I really like with Bless is that the leveling experience is not a cakewalk. It has a level of difficulty to it. Bosses for quests have certain mechanics, and I actually had to think when I fought them. I had to make sure I was properly comboing and CCing enemies when I was questing, otherwise I'd die. There were world bosses that you could fight with your allies out in the world, allied players, and that would deal massive damage to you if you were hit. I was actually trying to do a world boss at first with a bunch of people that were around, and I got hit by attack and actually got one shot. The mob difficulty just in-game feels really appropriate, and it felt like I was adventuring in a dangerous world, and I had to, you know, be on my game. And because of this, the leveling experience, in my opinion, has been enjoyable so far. I feel like a lot of times the leveling is just super easy and a means to an end, but in Bless, it does feel like it has a modicum of difficulty to it, which I do like. In addition, the experience curve in the game also felt pretty good. Leveling wasn't going at warp speed, and each level I gained felt good. The quest types were also varied too, so the leveling did not feel stale. And combat overall, in my opinion, in Bless feels fun. Although I'll expand on what I didn't like in my cons section. It does feel like, though, what New World's combat wants to be. You have 6 or 7 skills total at your disposal with a variety of passives, but you can also do different combos with your left and right click to accomplish certain things, which I really enjoyed. It isn't just use your skills and spam left click while you wait for your skills to come off of CD. Also, the game has really solid character customizations. It's not quite on par with the level of maybe something like BDO, but it has a lot of really good sliders and customizations to make your character truly feel like your own. But now we're going to talk about some of the cons that I have for Bless, with the first one being animation locking. Now, Bless has a reputation for having the feeling of being locked into your animations, and that is unfortunately true. Now, I don't think it's as bad as some people have made it out to be, though. I think, in my opinion, the clunkiness in combat comes from 2 key areas, and if these were fixed, combat would feel significantly better. The first one is the end time for certain skill animations, and the second one is the transition time between combos. There were multiple skills where after I did their keyboard inputs and dealt my damage, I would try to start moving my character, but instead my character was just standing still, reveling in how much damage he was dealing and how powerful he was. If they took a good second off the end of certain animations, the combat would feel like it flowed so much better. In addition, the second pain point that I have, like I said, came from the combo transitions. There were certain times I'd be in the middle of a combo and I'd reach the end of it and I would stop it to try to transition into another combo, and my character would just like not do anything. He would just kind of stand still. And so I think if they lowered that transition time to go from one combo to another, again, the combat would feel a lot smoother. Now, the next thing I have is specifically a PC complaint. The user interface really feels like you're playing on a console interface. Doesn't feel like a PC interface. Other MMOs that have their game on both platforms, PC and console, have different UIs that are slightly optimized for both platforms, but it feels like Bless just ported their console interface on a PC, and it can feel really clunky to navigate with a keyboard and mouse. They need to remove certain required clicks and use mouse hovering instead, and it just needs better PC optimization. Also, Bless throughout your initial adventures gives you certain tutorials to help you look at what you're doing and help you understand at what's going on. And that's good. You know, that's good to have those tutorials. But the problem with them is that they auto-dismiss after an incredibly short period of time. So sometimes I'd be in the middle of reading a tip about, you know, something I am doing or something that I picked up, and I wouldn't get to finish, and the tip would just disappear before I finished reading it. I think if you're going to have a tutorial window in the game, let the players dismiss that tutorial window themselves. Don't dismiss it for them. The next con that I have, and for me, this is always a big con when it comes to games, is that it's game's performance. The overall game performance for Bless felt incredibly inconsistent. When I first played through the tutorial, performance felt pretty good overall, but the second I got into a city after the tutorial, my FPS plummeted. I thought it was an issue with my PC or with the game, so I actually spent quite a bit of time messing with the settings, but I eventually came to realize that it was simply being in a city that caused the performance problems. Once I left that town, the game performance dramatically improved. Ironically enough, it wasn't even due to there's tons of players around in the city, because when I did a world boss that was out in the world, there were 30 people around and the game ran totally fine, but I could step into a nearly empty town and watch my frame rate drop. So to me, it kind of shows that the performance issues involve the loading of the cities and the buildings and their NPCs. So that definitely needs to be worked on. And it's also something that's not a con particularly, but it's something I found interesting and I just wanted to mention, is that the game is definitely very GPU heavy. And the reason I mentioned that is interesting is because many modern MMOs put more of their strain, I feel like, on the CPU over the GPU, but for Bless, it was the reverse. And I just wanted to kind of mention it here because we were talking about game performance. Now, my final bad thing is the cash shop. The game definitely does have a few questionable items in its cash shop. For example, there does appear to be an open world. The game, like I mentioned earlier, does have open world PvP, and there is a scroll that you can buy in the cash shop for money that just prevents you from being attacked. And I don't like that. You know, if you're going to have open world PvP, have open world PvP. And if you're going to lock it out, I don't think like monetarily locking it out is a good thing, because you're kind of just saying like, hey, if you don't want to be attacked, we're going to sell you the solution. And I'm not a big fan of that. Also, you can just straight up buy skill experience, which I don't like. The game does have experience scrolls similar to other buy-to-play games, which I don't think are as problematic as like straight up buying experience, because at least if you buy the scrolls, you still have to go out there and grind the skills. I know ESO has XP scrolls, and I don't think they're that problematic for that game, but just being able to straight up buy experience, I don't particularly like. I think that if they want to go the skill boosting way, they need to just stick with experience increase scrolls, like where you actually gain a percentage increase, and not just be able to buy XP. I don't like that. Finally, there appears to be this thing in the cash shop called dungeon keys, which upon doing a bit of research on this, it seems that it gives you more opportunities for loot inside of dungeons. And in my opinion, this should just straight up be removed. I don't think that you should be able to buy more gear opportunities. Again, that just kind of is where you start to really go into that pay to win kind of state. I think that needs to just straight up be taken out. But as far as I can tell, otherwise, it wasn't anything egregious in the shop. And I think if they, you know, removed the like peace thing, it's called like, I think it's like a scroll of peace or whatever, the one that doesn't let you get flagged up for PvP. If they took that out, if they took out the dungeon key scroll, and then they just turned the skill XP buy scroll into a percent XP gain so that you still have to actually go and grind and play the game, I think the microtransaction shop would be in a much healthier spot. I think you should keep it to more of a cosmetic focus as well, because, you know, I get it, it's a free-to-play game, you got to make money somehow, but you don't want to go down the pay-to-win route, as it devalues certain things in the game, and Western audiences have proven that they're not a big fan of pay-to-win, so I just think that, you know, these things need to be removed so that the cash shop feels a little bit more Western audience friendly. Now, finally, I think the biggest thing that Bless is going to struggle with is outrunning its previous releases. First impressions are really important, and Bless has had a really rough time with that. We have seen this happen with many games that have bad launches, and now Bless also has to climb that hill. With that being said, though, I do not think it's an impossible task, but they really need to make sure that their game is as polished as possible for PC release. On top of improving the things that I've mentioned as cons earlier in this video, I think one of the biggest things that Bless is going to need to do for this PC game to be successful is have a reasonable cash shop. There are ways to make money off of a microtransaction store without going down the pay-to-win route. And I truly think if Bless wants to have a chance with this version of the game actually sticking, they're going to need to have a consumer-friendly microtransaction store, because it's going to be a very important step to earning the good graces from its potential player base. Overall, though, I do think Bless has a very solid core and shell to their game, and if they could polish things up with the game's performance, optimize the UI for PC a bit better, make the animations less locky, and you know, like I said, chop some time off the end of them, and make their microtransaction store a bit better, this version of Bless really has some potential to be a solid MMORPG. Without those things, though, I do think the game is going to struggle to reach an audience outside of its current fan base who can already look past these things. So at the moment, we're going to need to see what improvements Bless can make as they move towards launch to really decide if the game is going to be worth playing long term. But guys, with that being said, that is going to be it for me in today's video. I want to know what you guys, though, think about Bless Unleashed. Have you played this game on console? Have you had the chance to play the beta on PC? Let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below, as well as what you think of the footage that I showcased today. And if you guys did like this video, I would appreciate if you left a like on it. And guys, to keep up to date with the various MMORPG content I put up here on my YouTube channel, going over first impressions, is it worth playing videos, as well as beginner guides for a variety of MMOs, please hit that sub button, as well as hit the bell to keep those notifications on. But thank you all so much for stopping by today. And again, big thank you to Bless for sponsoring this video. I do very much appreciate it. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.